Okay, hello, welcome back. I am Hellcow. Well, I'm playing her at the moment, and this is LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2. And, wanted to discuss two things. One was the MCU Phase 4, what's supposed to be coming. And I also wanted to, use LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2 as, what the MCU, the movies should be doing. So, first off, let's pull up the map here to kind of explain what I'm talking about. So, in the storyline of the game, Kane the Conqueror went out and originally, separated a lot of different realities, and people could gain access to different realities through portals, basically. So, like that portal right there. So like that, well, that says fast travel point, but it's a portal from one dimension to another. And then after the Nexus of all realities was destroyed, then all these different realities came together. So you've got, the Manhattan. This is the typical Marvel comic universe Manhattan. There's Man-Thing Swamp, which was at the Nexus of all reality. Wakanda, same MCU universe. Medieval England, so presumably MCU universe, but in the past. You've got Nueva York from the 2099, the future. Sakaar, which is where the Thor Ragnarok took place. Asgardians are from. Xandar, where Guardians of the Galaxy take place. The Old West, presumably in the same reality. Hala, I don't think Hala's been in one of the movies, but I could be wrong. Egypt, ancient Egypt, I should say. Manhattan Noir, which is, where Spider-Man Noir came from. And the Hydra Empire. So, he combined all these different realities together. So, I'm thinking that could make a really good Phase 4. Or, any phase in the Marvel Universe. It could be really good. Starting out with, the beginnings of this storyline. With, people fighting Kane in a couple of the first few movies. And then eventually it becoming the this reality, which was called Chronopolis. And then you could do several movies and several different storylines, which are only vaguely connected, by the fact that it's now in Chronopolis. And I think that would make a really, really good MCU phase to do it, and eventually, facing against Kane in his fortress, as it is right here. I think this is actually a very good prototype for the Kane, or an MCU phase. So, we've got that. So, let me go over what's been announced for the MCU. So, there are TV series and films, and I've heard rumors about, I think about 4 or 5 that aren't on the list that I found. So, I'll probably be discussing those too. So, we'll start with the TV series. So, the first one listed is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, I'm a little bit torn. I think this could either be really good or just, okay-ish. It depends on what they do with it and, how they present it. And just, it seems like there are a lot of different factors here that could make it either really good or really bad. I think if they do it as just a straight-up buddy-buddy thing and don't take it too seriously, I think that could be it could be a really good series. I believe the actors who play Winter Soldier and Falcon are both going to be in it. So, we've got that one. Now, the second one on my list is WandaVision. Now, this is a TV series, according to my list. I didn't know. I just barely found out it was going to be a TV series, not a movie. Although I had heard about it for a while. Now, so, what I'm picturing in my mind, actually, is something along the lines of House of M, I believe it was called. It was a Marvel comic where Scarlet Witch, or Wanda, creates an alternate reality where mutants are the dominant species, and there are a lot of interesting, things that happen because of it, and, it made for a big, long story. So that's how I'm kind of picturing it in my head. A little bit of that, maybe a little bit of, they did have, a Vision storyline where he basically built his own family, made them androids, and like him. So that could also be a good way to go about it. So it could be, you know, a combination of House of M and not quite sitcom-y, but like a drama, a family-type drama. It could be really good. It just depends on where they go with it. It's at the moment we have very little information on what's going to happen with any of these. Let's see, the third one I have listed is Loki. I'm not even sure if the current version of Loki is still alive or not. I strongly suspect he is, but who knows for sure, right? I certainly don't. So, Loki's a likable enough character when he's not, you know, doing horrible things and killing people, so it could be pretty good. Especially certain versions of Loki were a lot of fun and did a lot of good work. So, you know, like the Loki, Agent of Asgard type Loki, where he was, you know, a bit mischievous but still doing good things. I would really enjoy that. But that's just me. So I'm gonna skip over the next one on my list. I'll come back to it because I really, it intrigues me a lot. So I'll come back to it. The next one on my list is the only one I'm really excited about, so I'll return to it. And go to the final TV series instead, which is Hawkeye. Now, apparently, the female version of Hawkeye is going to be in this. I don't know on that one how it's going to go. So, traditionally, when either version of Hawkeye have been on their own, I've really liked them. When they've been together, it's just been horrible. And part of the reason that it feels weird and off is that the female Hawkeye is, I believe, around 20. Male Hawkeye is in his 40s. He's an experienced soldier. She's still pretty young. Yet they had the male Hawkeye being kind of the Robin-type sidekick. And it felt off and it just did not work for me. Speaking honestly, it felt forced, felt like, you know, it just felt like they got something wrong in how they did that. So, you know, that would be my only objection to that. So, if it is the female Hawkeye, I hope it's just her and not, you know, the male Hawkeye. But yeah, that's just me there. So, that's the list of the TV series. So let's move on to the films. So first off is Black Widow. Now, I almost want to say late to the party. Basically, fans of the Marvel Comics have been asking for a Black Widow movie since Iron Man 2. So, yeah, this is something I think most fans really, really want and will, you know, are excited to get. At this point, I'm not sure if it's going to be really good or not, but, you know, we can always hope. So I'm hoping it will be as good as, you know, it would have been if they'd made it earlier. You know, but, you know, I almost feel like I've lost faith in them to do this character justice in her own movie. You know, I'm probably just being overly judgmental at this point, but I honestly feel that. And, okay, I just have to say, this... it stopped me here. Well, they trapped Stan Lee, and I'm not going to get him out. This feels like Blade Runner, doesn't it? I'm just saying. Anyway, let me get out of this. Attilan. Is this Attilan? I think it's Attilan. Wherever the Inhumans live, that's where I'm at right now, Fly. So the second one is the Eternals. I have absolutely no feelings about this. Let me be fair. I am now plummeting. Wait. Let me land and then plummet. Okay. So, my problem with Eternals is I know next to nothing about them. You know, and that's a fair point. I just don't know anything about the Eternals. And so they're kind of in the same category as Guardians of the Galaxy was for me before the movie came out. I really knew nothing about it. So it could be really good like Guardians of the Galaxy was, or it could just be like, meh. You know, it depends on what they do with it and how it goes, so... Yep, that's where I'm at with that one. Let's see. Now the third one is actually vaguely intriguing to me. That is Shang-Chi. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. A character I also know nothing about, but the name of this movie is going to be okay, let me read it all out. And the Legend of the Ten Rings. So what intrigues me about this is that the Ten Rings is, at least in my mind, I associate it with the Mandarin, the long-running Iron Man villain. And I don't know if Shang-Chi ever had any sort of encounter with the Mandarin or anything like that happened in the comics. I don't know anything about the character, really. So it's intriguing enough that I'm like, oh, okay, so this could be really good. This, whole Shang-Chi thing. So yeah, that's intriguing enough that I'm going to go like, okay, I'd like to see this to see, is it going to be the Mandarin? What's going to happen? That's just the title alone is enough to say yeah, I'll probably see it just for that. So yeah, good job with that one, people. So the next one is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So on the plus side, this does indicate that the multiverse will be going forward in the MCU. So that's a good thing. A lot of people have been debating it, and I think it's a good direction for them to take. And it also give a chance to introduce a lot of the alternate versions of characters, which some of my favorite characters are alternate versions, such as Miguel O'Hara or Mayday Parker, are alternate versions of Spider-Man. And so, yes, that's, it's enough that I'll go ahead and watch it, even though I'm not the biggest Doctor Strange fan. He's an okay character, he just does very little for me, I'll be honest. Okay. And so the final one, of the movies anyway, is Thor, Love and Thunder. I'm a bit torn about this one, because they've announced that they will be having the Jane Foster version of Thor. So there's a couple reasons why this is a bit, yeah, I'm a bit torn on this. So first and foremost, the problem that the hardcore fans of Marvel Comics had with, or the Thor fans had with the Jane Foster version of Thor was she stole his name. A lot of people in the Marvel Comics have wielded Thor's hammer. And including those that you've seen in the MCU, people like Squirrel Girl and Jack Powers have, have wielded Thor's hammer. But none of them actually took his name away from him. And suddenly, Jane Foster gets her hands on the hammer. Thor loses, becomes unworthy, and Jane Foster gets her hands on the hammer, and suddenly she takes his name. And a lot of people said, wait a second. I think, the fans would have actually, it would have been more acceptable to fans if she had wielded it as part of the storyline, but hadn't taken over his name. So, that was a problem for a lot of fans, and it kind of looks, so, yeah, Jane Foster became one of the least popular versions of Thor. And, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a bad movie. It just, I think a lot of fans are going to be looking at it and saying, okay, is she going to steal his name in the movie or not? And hopefully she won't, but we'll see what happens in the movie. But I have another issue, because I think there are alternate versions of Thor that should actually be included before the Jane Foster version of Thor. Those versions include Throg, which I'll admit I'm including him in the list as kind of a joke. Throg is a frog version of Thor. A small piece of Mjolnir was broken off, and this frog was deemed worthy to wield it and became a frog version of Thor. He's kind of a tongue-in-cheek, funny character, but so it is tongue-in-cheek when I include him in the list. But the second one, I'm actually deadly serious, should be included in the movie before Jane Foster, is Beta Ray Bill, who's a horse-headed alien who's, yeah, proved himself to be very worthy to wield Mjolnir. And as such, you know, I think he should be in the movie before Jane Foster. Or he should be in the movie as a version of Thor before Jane Foster. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you think about that. So, not included in my list, but people who I've heard rumors about. We'll get into them. So first off, Blade. There's been rumors that Blade is they're going to do some relaunch the Blade series, but he didn't make the list that I found. Strangely enough, I think that would be a great idea. I can't think of anyone who doesn't like Blade, truthfully. I think he's a great character. And, you know, I'm playing around as Hell Cow in this. But yeah, I did do a minor mission in this where Blade and Hell Cow are working together, which, you know, and I jokingly said that should be the plot of the next Thor movie. You know, it's kind of funny because Hell Cow, to the best of my knowledge, only appeared in a single comic and was killed by Howard the Duck, so make of that what you will. So, yeah, like I said, Blade, relaunching of that series, that would be awesome. I don't know why it didn't make the list, because from what I understand, it's been cast and it's all ready to go to make the movie.
Hey, come over here a second.
So, the second one that I heard about that also didn't make this list was apparently they're going to do something with Maria Rambeau in her own movie or TV series or something. She was Captain Marvel in the 70s, I believe. She wasn't really associated with Captain Marvel, but a lot of people who saw her use her abilities were like, oh, she's a lot like Captain Marvel, and so they started calling her Captain Marvel. Kind of an interesting character. They had like a little girl version of her in the recent Captain Marvel movie. A few of the hardcore fans of her and of the Captain Marvel, her version of Captain Marvel, were a little upset about how she was portrayed in the movie, but, you know, it would be interesting if she got her own series and see where they take the character. So that would be good. And also, so I heard this rumor that they were going to do the Kamala Kahn version of Ms. Marvel, which I think could be good depending on what they do with her. So, I don't know if I mentioned this, I've read a bunch of her comics. So initially, I actually enjoyed her comics. I thought they were pretty good. So basically, the first two trade paperbacks, or about the first year, is actually well worth reading. I recommend you read it. It's not as good. It's not like the best comic book you'll ever read. It's not like Stan Lee's run of Spider-Man or Doug Moenick's run of Moon Knight or anything like that. But it's an enjoyable. Yeah, it's an enjoyable adventure comic with, you know, a teenage girl. And after that, they kind of seem to lose their way and not really, you know, they didn't seem to know quite what they wanted to do with the character. So at least that was the impression I got. I could be wrong. So yeah, so I think with her, if they do make a movie based on her, it could be good, but it depends on what they do with her. And I think that's true of, you know, that's a fairly generic statement and true of all of these things, but, you know, with certain characters, it seems like it's very easy for them to get it wrong. I think with Kamala Kahn, that she's very much in that category. It could be really good, but it could go wrong quite easily. So, there is that. So I'm going to return to the TV show that I skipped over that has been announced that I'm actually really excited about, although there is a big potential for it to go wrong. And that would be What If. So for those of you not familiar with the comics, the What If series is kind of the alternate realities. What would happen in this comic if this happened or that happened? And they basically go over major events in the comic book history and, you know, ask, well, what would have happened if this had changed or that had changed? So, for example, what if Spider-Man had never gotten rid of the symbiote suit is one of the ones they did. And, you know, it's a great potential to kind of introduce a lot of the alternate versions, alternate realities, alternate versions of the characters. But it's also, you know, you have the potential to just be a really good, really fun series. It could be, you know, a touch of Twilight Zone. It could be just plain old, you know, adventurous. You know, it could give a lot of people, you know, a chance to kind of explore stuff that just hasn't been done in the movies or in the TV series in the MCU, but it has been done in the comics. So it's, you know, it's a good, so I that's the one I'm just really excited about to see, and it's one of those, you know, measured excitements where it's like, I'm super excited about this, but, oh, they could get it really, really wrong. Which, you know, speaking honestly, yeah, that's, I think, true of all of the MC4. They have a chance to make it, you know, to continue in making really great movies, or they could be not so great movies. So anyway, as Hellcow, that's my view on the MCU Phase 4. And they should base a phase on this game. So let me know what you think, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.